Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of PonderCast. I have a friend with me. She's a tech coach from East Porter Schools. She's on the planning team for the eVillage e-learning conference in the summer times. She's a Google instructor and an ICE board member. Hello, Diana.
Hi, how are you?
All right, good, good. How's the school year going?
Really good, crazy, busy, but so far so good. How about for
Awesome.
you?
Yeah, same thing. We're a little bit into it and starting to know the kids' names. So step one. All right. So what's your role as the tech coordinator at East Porter Schools?
So I'm the instructional technology coach for the district, and most of what I do is really on professional development for teachers. So the past 3 years, I've worked primarily with secondary teachers, and now we're trying to be creative about how to support our elementary teachers as well. So I'm really working with teachers K through 12 this year, which I'm excited about.
Cool. What ed tech tip or website or app are you gonna blow our minds with today?
Well, today I'm going to talk about Creative Commons. So it's not really a tip or a tool, but I like to think of it more of a mission around copyright and information literacy. So
Okay.
I'm excited to show you.
Go for it.
So I'm going to talk about Creative Commons really because it tackles a number of big issues kind of surrounding teacher creativity, student creativity, and information literacy. And Creative Commons, in my mind, really has two missions. First, it helps us find items that we are allowed to be using in the work that we are remixing. And I'm kind of talking about, when I say work, I'm talking about the things that teachers create to use in the class with students,
Okay.
and also the things that we're asking kids to create to show their mastery of different concepts. So I'll talk about that first part first. As we push out more digital content to our students and we are being creative and we're coming up with new ways to reach them, a lot of the stuff that we find that's out there we are modifying or we're using as is. But what sometimes gets left out of that process is kind of asking ourselves if we are supposed to be using and remixing and reproducing the things that we're using. um, there's this phrase in education that I'm sure everyone has heard, this beg, borrow, steal
Right,
phrase.
right, right.
And that, I kind of feel like it's time to reinvent that phrase. And instead of begging, borrowing, and stealing the things that we're using in our classroom, we should be asking for permission and properly citing and then sharing the stuff that we create ourselves. And I feel like Creative Commons really helps us do that on both sides. Um,
Oh, I
and
love
it
it.
can be kind of, overwhelming. Like, okay, so how do I get started? If I'm using stuff in my classroom, how do I know I'm allowed to use it? And it quickly can feel overwhelming.
Hmm.
And so what I always tell people is to start with pictures. Everybody uses pictures in the work that they create. Students, administrators, teachers alike, everyone uses pictures. And one of the things that we can do with Creative Commons is search to find pictures that are openly licensed for reuse. I'm like so excited to talk about this every time I get
Yeah.
a chance. So if you head to creativecommons.org and you choose search the commons, this will give you a number of different platforms that Creative Commons licenses work with, and you'll see that YouTube is on there. So you can
Oh.
actually license the YouTube videos that you are creating, because I know you're really big into that. Um,
Okay.
yeah, so I'm just going to perform a quick search here. I always do my search for drafts, and I chose Pixabay as my search platform from searching the commons.
Oh,
And
wow.
then when I click on one of these images, it will tell me how it's licensed. And so over here on the right, I see that it is licensed under CC0, which is Creative Commons version of public domain. So I can actually use this image however I want, and I don't even have to provide attributions for it. And at this point, I have all the licenses pretty well memorized, but if I click on this link here, it will take me to the Creative Commons license, which will explain to me, what it is,
Oh,
what I'm,
nice.
what I'm looking at.
This.
And here's a trick that you'll probably really like. If you go to YouTube, if you choose YouTube and you do the same thing,
Mm-hmm.
the drafts, I just feel like it's always scary to do a live search, so I pick drafts because it's usually pretty appropriate. Notice the search term up here at the top.
Okay.
So it's draft, Creative Commons. And again, like any of the videos that you find are going to have a Creative Commons license attached, and you might find something that you're allowed to download and
Okay.
edit, which we know our kids they want to do that when they're creating video projects. So I could replace this word with whatever I want. Maybe I'm doing a documentary about Kenya. I can do Kenya Creative Commons and then find some stuff that I'm allowed to use. And yeah, so again, there's so many pieces to this. Like if I find something online, am I allowed to use it? So I would say start with pictures. Because everybody uses it. It's something you can show your students how to do. Like, hey, instead of doing Google image searches, let's go here.
Right.
Go to Creative Commons and start to talk about those licenses.
Man.
And then once you are comfortable using stuff that you're allowed to use and you're into the habit of providing those proper attributions on the stuff that you're remixing, then you get to the point where, okay, now I want to license the stuff that I make.
Right.
We put so much work into the content that we make for our kids and our professional development. Our students create, we're encouraging them to create in schools. And so why not let teachers and students decide how they want their work reused once it's shared out? All right. So another thing that Creative Commons will let you do is actually create and apply the licenses that they provide free to creators. So if you head over to same site, but you click share your work, you can go through the process of choosing licenses and decide how you want to apply that to the stuff that you are creating and sharing. So for example, maybe you make a really cool hyperdoc and you want to share that out on Twitter, but you want to be clear about, hey, go ahead and use this and change this, but I would really appreciate a shout out, an attribution.
Right.
Give me credit. So you can use these licenses, and a lot of times I'll just here's an example. I gave a session on this at a Google Summit earlier this year, and I just applied a license at the end of my presentation. And again,
nice.
The whole point of this is to promote sharing. I'm more willing to share my stuff if I can kind of navigate the terms of copyright and decide how I want it shared and used. And then very quickly, there's also a Google Doc add-on for Creative Commons. I just head up to add-ons, Creative Commons license chooser, and then it gives me this dashboard over here on the right. I select my license terms, click insert license into the doc, and then it just pops that right into the document. So, yeah, it's so easy and quick to get into that habit of licensing the stuff you're working on.
Oh my gosh, that I am now a huge fan of that add-on.
So simple.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much. You were here and then you went here.
Okay, good.
So that was awesome. What's happening over at East Porter? What's happening with the family? What's going on this school year?
Well, at East Porter specifically, we've been talking a lot about kind of transitioning, elevating our conversation towards blended learning. Okay. So looking at, how to implement that into our classroom more often. So I'm excited about all the stuff we have planned for this year around blended learning. At home, I have been training to run some different races. I did my first half marathon after having children this past summer, and now I'm getting ready to run a couple more half marathons. So
good for you.
Doing that. And my daughter, my 5-year-old daughter McKenna, actually started kindergarten this year.
Yay!
Yeah, and so that's a huge, what that's like. That's a huge shift in the family dynamic. But she loves it, and she loves to come to school still. So.
Yep. And she's probably excited to have homework.
So she hasn't had homework yet.
Yeah. Well, thank goodness as a parent. But yes.
Yeah. Yeah, she has not had homework, so we'll see. But so far so good.
What ed camp are you helping with?
On October 10th, so the day before the ICE conference, October 11th and 12th, there is a coach ed camp for all people serving in the coach role. It's completely free and it's super fun. In fact, we have Classcraft as a sponsor this year. So we're gamifying the whole thing. It's going to be like a little quest. So you should definitely register. It's free.
Awesome. And I will make sure that those links get put down below for the ICE conference, and then you can register for that. So thank you so much for bringing that up. Thank you for watching. I'm going to throw a whole bunch of comments or description stuff down below for websites and Diana's contact information. She's on Twitter. She's on the 411 vodcast. She's everywhere. You need to follow her. So please like this, share this, subscribe, and we'll talk to you later.
Thank you.